remarks of this time, we know him as the profile host, the one and only Ian Boyne.
Mr. Ian Boyne, CD, is a veteran journalist in the Jamaican media landscape. His long list of roles reflects his dedication and continued excellence in his work. Boyne has served as a feature writer for the then Agency for Public Information and the Jamaica Information Service. He was a press secretary as well as a speechwriter to the then Minister of Industry and Commerce in 1983 and served as the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Information Service up to his death on December 18, 2017. Boyne's most prolific role, however, must be his program Profile, which has seen over 30 successful years on the air, conducting over 1,300 interviews. He also wrote a weekly column for the Sunday Gleaner, which is widely read and commented upon. Ian Boyne also served as a pastor to the Church of God International Jamaica. Some people might claim that he spoke prematurely when declaring that he was a miracle after he was released from the intensive care unit at the University Hospital. But from the perspective of a secularist, he may indeed have been a miracle, in the sense of being a man of deep and varied intellectual interests, with a capacity for sustained and concentrated efforts which, for more than 40 years, he shared with Jamaica through his journalism. The story of Ian Boyne, next on Jamaican Biography. People fascinates me. Always have. Behind every big name Jamaican, I wondered, what is their story, motivation, dreams and aspirations? I want some amazing facts, childhood memories, achievements and disappointments. I wonder where they get their drive. Jamaican Biography gives me all of that and more. Welcome to the journey.
Jamaica, 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 Jamaica.
Born in 1957, he grew up in the Pembroke Hall community in St. Andrew with very good friend Ambassador Alone Ndombet Asamba. He attended the Pembroke Hall Primary School. He may have also been a graduate of the Pembroke Hall High School. He was a self-taught theologian. Ian Boyne began his journalism career in 1975 as a freelancer with the now defunct Jamaica Daily News. Then went to the Agency for Public Information, the government's information arm that was later renamed the Jamaica Information Service. He interviewed officials, covered events and wrote speeches for government ministries across administrations, without, it seems, even being entangled by conflict. There were two critical elements to Ian Boyne's journalism, especially in the columns he wrote for the Jamaica Gleaner and the discussion programs he hosted on television. He was laden with facts and generally was open to debate. He may have been intellectually vain, as some will no doubt argue, but his larger aim was to stimulate discourse, hoping it would rebound to the benefit of Jamaica.
We're with a great Ian Boyne, with Bishop Denroy Morgan. They have a lot of issues to sort out.
Yes.
Ian, what's to be expected on the show?
Well, lots of unexpected things. I'm not giving away anything. All I can say is that, it's going to be pure fire. Fire! Pure fire. So I don't know who will survive at the end, but it's pure fire. Pure fire.
Ian Boyne was not partisan, but ideological, in the sense that he brought to his journalism a specific and, in many respects, a distinct perspective. At one level, he is a product of the times in which he came of age, the ideological period of the 1970s, when the left and right contended for primacy. Of a fashion, he was of the left. His pronouncements were emphatic to a state that intervened on behalf of its most vulnerable citizens, and against the notion that the market had all the best answers to the organization of an economy. But his was an ideology that wasn't the outcome merely of rational secular empiricism. Mr. Boyne too was a Christian scholar and a pastor who ran a church. His viewpoints were shaped as much by the Bible as by the writings of the philosophers, humanists, ethicists, foreign policy analysts, and others he readily imbibed and often quoted in his columns, which often elicited playful ribbing from fellow columnists. In his newspaper columns, he assumed the role of public intellectual, though hardly radical. He positioned himself as his own man, with viewpoints independent of whichever administrations happened at the time, to be the overlords of the JIS and custodians of national policies. And while doing this, he for 30 years produced a weekly television program in which he interviewed Jamaicans who had mostly risen from poverty or other adversities to positions of prominence and power. Critics will perhaps claim that some of his interviews were filled with sentimentality, but there can be little doubt that they were mostly uplifting and offered hope. As a theologian whose entry in the biblical disquisition started in Herbert Armstrong's Worldwide Church of God and the fragmentations therefrom, Ian Boyne was willing to debate the worth and value of Christianity and other religions in a secular world and to put those on show in his television program Religious Hard Talk. Mr. Boyne had a passion for Jamaican music of the 1960s and 70s and could hold erudite arguments about the artists of the day, even as he vehemently decried the neologism of the lyrics of many of today's dancehall performers, who he believed contributed to the coarsening of Jamaican society. Another side of Ian Boyne is that he was mostly self-taught. He would have been a fine subject of one of his profile interviews to explore the basis of his Catholic interests and from whence the will or miracle for their achievement.
Joining us for Issues and Answers, I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk about the Jamaican German Automotive School, an important institution that has been playing a critical role in the Jamaican economy and which is providing a very critical skills needed not just for our growing economy, but also as a means of export. Today we have its acting manager, Mr. Andy Francis, with us.
30 years ago, he had a great idea and just needed a medium to showcase it. The concept surrounded highlighting interesting people who would tell their own stories of trials, tears, tenacity and triumph in their own words. After approaching executives of the then Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation (JBC), he was given the green light and a tentative 6 months to make the program both popular and profitable. He agreed to the challenge, and the rest, as they say, is history. Boyne was appointed Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the JIS in 2010. His responsibilities included serving as Chief State Liaison to the Office of the Prime Minister, Office of the Governor General, and the Office of the Leader of the Opposition, and giving oversight to the research, print and production, editorial and photo division. Host of the agency's flagship interview program, Issues and Answers, Mr. Boyne featured the public education thrust of the JIS through his incisive range of questions, which serve to elucidate the government's response to the national issues of the day.
Thanks for joining us for Jamaica Magazine. This is a special Issues and Answers interview with the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. I'm Ian Boyne.
Boyne had a long career with the Jamaica Information Service, as he first joined the entity when it was known as the Agency for Public Information, API, in 1976 as features writer and television broadcaster. In 1983, he became the press secretary / speechwriter to the then Minister of Industry and Commerce, Douglas Vaz, and from then to 2002, worked with every Minister of Industry under the successive administrations as speechwriter, public relation consultants, after which he rejoined the JIS in 2002. He was a highly respected media practitioner who was driven and passionate about his work, maintaining a hallmark of excellence since entering the profession in 1975. Boyne is the author of Idea Matters, A Journey into the Mind of a Veteran Journalist, and The Profile of Excellence, an achievement from 25 years of interviewing remarkable people. This book was co-authored by Glenford Smith. On February 22nd, 1987, Boyne aired the first episode of Profile with former Grace Kennedy boss Carlton Alexander as guest, and since then there has never been a rerun in its 6:30 to 7 p.m. slot on Sundays. He wrote extensively for many magazines, including Skywritings and The Jamaican. In 2009, the government of Jamaica recognized his outstanding contribution to journalism with the Commander of Order of Distinction, CD. Boyne is one of the few journalists to have received such a prominent national honor. Boyne was a recipient of several journalism awards for distinguished work in print and television broadcasting, including the Maurice Cargill Award for Opinion Journalism in 2006 and the Jamaica Boilers Fair Play Award for Profile in 2005. Mr. Boyne died at age 60 at the University Hospital, Mona, after struggling with a brief illness. He is survived by his wife, Margaret, daughter Kelly, stepdaughter Brian, and stepson Andre. A consummate journalist who was a voracious reader. That doesn't mean he was always right. What it means is that he was always well prepared and well researched. This is how veteran journalist Ian Boyne is being remembered by fellow journalist and lecturer Faye Ellington. Rest in peace, Mr. Boyne.
Welcome to Profile. I'm Ian Boyne.
Thank you for watching the video. Drop a like and a comment down below and consider subscribing if you haven't done so as yet. Until next time, walk good.